Je m'appelle Richard, and that is about as much as French as I have. So I'd like to thank you to start this presentation, and thank you for your patience over the next 10 minutes, and I will only be 10 minutes. Thank you for listening to me, because I'm going to present to you in English. I do appreciate that. Unfortunately, I'm a product of the English school system, which basically means that I can play cricket, but I can't speak French. So I do apologize about that. So what do I want to talk to you about today? I want to discuss with you the concept of the fact that the sales funnel, the traditional sales funnel, no longer exists. And the fact that the way that consumers are looking for information and trying to engage with you has completely transformed the way that you need to engage with them. Now, many of you probably started off as I did in my early part of my career, looking at the wrong slide. There's a slide missing. Anyway, many of you probably started your career, as I did, looking at the sales funnel, and it being very traditional. You start off with awareness, you come through consideration, you go to purchase. There might be 4 or 5 different parts of that. But today, that has completely changed. No longer is it a simple linear way of engaging with customers. We've suddenly got customers going in almost a hyper sales cycle where they're going through multiple phases of research. Not only phases of research looking for different types of information, but looking via different devices, in different formats, in different ways. So it's actually making our lives as marketeers incredibly difficult. No longer can we just simply plot, I'm going to start with an awareness campaign here, which may well be television. Then I'm going to provide them some more information to make a judgment on my product, and that might be through an ad in a newspaper, something around the features, the functions of it. They're not going to then move simply and smoothly into a retail store and make a decision and take an action, which is buying my product. Today, customers are actually building their own pathways to purchase. They're moving around from a mobile device to a tablet to a laptop to speaking with friends to social media, as some of the people have already said today. So it's really important for us to know we need to understand where our customers are, what they're interested in, and how best to communicate with them. With this fragmentation in the market, we're seeing it far more difficult for us to understand how we communicate with our customers. It's no longer one message where you stand there and shout your message to an audience of which only maybe 3 or 4 of you in the room are listening to that and actually interested in that. We're seeing a move away from that. We're seeing customers and prospects really looking for engaging contact and information when they want that information, not when you want to give it to them. And what we see is underpinning all of this is the concept of data. Data is fundamentally important. How do you know who your customer is? How do you know what they're interested in without that information? And we see that marketers today really, truly are starting to understand the power of that data and insights about their individual customers, but they're really struggling to find out how do they do that? How do they collect that information? How do they bring that together? How do they make that useful? Anyone recognize this slide here? The Lumascape? Yeah, somebody up there has put their hand up, thank you. The Lumascape. And this, unfortunately, is how many of us are looking at this. We're looking at it from a technology perspective. We're actually putting the technology first and not putting our customer first. There's an analyst firm called IDC who claim that, or calculate that on average, marketing departments have 13 pieces of technology that they work with. How can you possibly cope with data being collected in 13 different places on average across your business? Understand that customer journey. Have a single view of the customer when data is all split up like that. It's really, really difficult to do. And again, from what I understand, one of the earlier speakers talked about the importance of it being human as well. The importance of actually engaging with the customer on an individual basis. You can't do it when you look at it purely from a siloed technology stack perspective. So what do we look at? I've already told you that the sales funnel is no longer linear. It doesn't start here and end here. It kind of moves around the place. But really interestingly, we've seen a lot of personalization taking place in marketing, which is really good, but that tends to be once you know who that consumer is. It tends to be once you've actually got some information about them. They may well have signed up to your email, they might be in your CRM system, they may have visited your website, so you start to know some information about them. However, your customers and prospects start that journey a long time before they exchange any information with you. There's some research by the Corporate Executive Board that shows that in the business-to-business buying process, on average, the buyer is 2/3 of the way through the buying cycle before they even talk to you, before they contact you. So it's really important to understand who those customers are. And you can do that by looking at the different touch points that they have with you. You can start collecting data. You can start bringing that together so that So you can start by, once you've collected, you can understand who's coming to your website. You can tag those people, you can give them an ID code. Then you can actually see how they move through the journeys with you. You can start to create profiles with you. You can start overlaying second and third party data to your first party data to really enhance that information. So I go from being somebody you don't know on your website to being Richard Robinson, to being living in the UK, to understanding the rules of cricket, to all of those types of things really start to enhance what you know about those customers. And that can really enhance the way that you can engage with your customers as you move forward. The more you know about them, the better it is to provide that right information at the right time, in the right format for them. So I just want to finish with a couple of case studies on this. And the previous speakers spoke a little bit around CRM onboarding. And we feel that first-party data is incredibly important. It's the best data that you will have. And why not use it? So this is a company called 3 Day Blinds. They basically make curtains and blinds for windows. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to improve the way that they were engaging with their current customers. They wanted to, they were able to communicate with them through their marketing automation, through email marketing, but they wanted to expand that communication outside of their own owned content. They wanted to engage with customers elsewhere around the internet. So by bringing in their first-party data, we were then able to overlay third-party data with that as well, which meant that they were able to better understand those customers. We were then able to, or they were then able to communicate to them in real time, so they understood who'd opened an email, and then that updated their information. That meant that the next ad that they saw contained information about the email that they'd read. So it's moving people along that customer journey. And again, it's about that personalized customer journey. So that was really, really effective for them. So they were bringing their email marketing and their advertising together. Worked really, really well. In addition to that, we did some modeling and were able to create profiles and personas of individuals that really match their top customers and their top prospects. By creating that, we were able then to go out and engage with those prospects and bring them into the sales funnel as well. So again, looking at that personalized approach to those individuals. The final case, and these are some of the results. The final case study I wanted to just talk about a little bit, and this is different from the previous one because this was a company that doesn't have a lot of information on their target audience. They know the people that buy from them today, but what they were looking for is a new group of people, a new audience. So it's a luxury clothing manufacturer. They know that their audience that buy their clothes today, but they wanted to target in the run-up to Christmas those people that bought clothes and goods for their friends, for their partners, so the gift giver community. So how did they do that? Well, through using data and programmatic, they were able to initially go out and identify a large group of the population that would broadly fit into their target market. They collected a lot of data about those people, so understanding who watched the video, who clicked on the ad, who engaged with their content, overlaying third-party data with that built out those profiles and enabled them to really kind of think, okay, well, these are the people that are most interesting for us. They then followed that with a second tranche of activity that really honed down to those people at an individual or small group level based on their interactions with them in the first campaign. This was incredibly successful. It opened a brand new market to them. They had some fantastic results coming out of that because they let data really enable and really articulate their strategy. So finally, 3 thoughts. Put data at the heart of what you're trying to do, at the heart of your planning. Get to know the person behind the activity that you're doing. Get to know them as an individual. Don't just think of them as 16 to 24-year-old female. Understand there's multiple subgroups in there with people with lots of different interests. And finally, make sure that you work with the right tech that makes it really easy and smooth for you to work with and enhances the way that you work with your customers. Thank you very much for your patience. Thank you.